Start with the recording. So welcome to our 9 o'clock engagement hour here at MCCDC. We are in the chapel at 474 Ridge Street in the church, and we welcome you wherever you are on the planet this morning, and are so glad that you have joined us. So our topics are what we focus on varies with the secular and the sacred calendar. And in the United States.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. Okay.
Are you okay, Robin? Okay. And so tomorrow is Memorial Day. And so being Memorial Day weekend, that's what we'll focus on today, is reflecting on, with some prayer, with some song, on remembering, memorializing and Memorial Day. So we welcome you. I want to encourage you, if you aren't speaking, to mute, and we'll be in and out at times, also having some conversation. So again, welcome.
And if you have questions or would like to participate, please raise your hand. We can Knut is here with us, and he can see you better than we can, and can let us know. We so welcome you to this time of gathering and connecting, and as Dr. Carlin mentioned, this time of remembering and reflecting. I'm Reverend Kathy, the associate pastor. Also, Reverend Dwayne, our senior pastor, is here with us. Say something on camera.
Welcome. We're so grateful for this time today. We're grateful that you're with us both here on site as well as online. And for those of you later on demand, you found us at the right time.
Thank you and welcome.
And so we'll continue with opportunity to get present and just notice our bodies and that we're together again, wherever we are in these moments.
So today we light this candle, and as we light this candle, we invite you to already begin to remember those in your life you carry in your hearts, those in that realm of love, that realm of the everlasting arms.
And now, yeah.
And so we'll continue with a song, Be Still My Soul, a reminder to us that as we grieve, as we experience joy, and again, as we remember, as we commemorate God, as we understand God, as we each understand God, it's present with us.
Be still my soul, the Lord is on thy side. With patience bear thy cross of grief for pain. Leave to thy God thy heavenly friend through thorny ways leads to a joyful end. and we'd still know his voice who ruled them while he dwelt below. Be still, my soul. Be still, my soul. Be still, my Be still, my soul. The hour is hastening on, when we shall be forever with the Lord. When disappointment, grief, and fear are gone, sorrow forgot, love's purest joys restored. Be still, my soul, when change and tears are past, all safe and blessed, we shall meet at
Anybody had anything arise around as you're listening to the song that has words? Any thoughts that came up? Anything arise from this song? Were you familiar with it?
I know for me, I've often heard this song at a time of loss and tragedy, and it's sung as a song of consolation. Some of the words God will undertake to guide in future days as God has in the past. Your hope, your confidence, let nothing shake. An encouragement to stay the course, encouragement to know that it's going to be better, it's going to get better. So that's one of the reasons I like this song, is what it brought up to me.
For me, it's not just about not just at a time of grief. I've not been, thankfully, I've not been to too many funerals, at least on my active memory right now. So, so it's actually a good song when you're somewhat internally in turmoil, whatever the reason is. Just kind of calm down and refocus, meditate. It's a very meditative song.
Thank you. Thanks. And so, as part of what we are talking about when we think about Memorial Day and Memorial Day weekend and what that means in the U.S. and internationally, Dr. Carl is going to be talking a little bit more about the specifics of Memorial Day in the United States. And I'd like to just prepare us. We started having a conversation around, asking, well, what is it that we memorialize? What is it that we want to remember, honor, and make statues to, and sing songs about? and set holidays for? What is it that we want to commemorate? And who gets to tell that story? Who gets to be the one to make the commemoration? Who gets to be the one to say, this is what we're going to memorialize in this country, in this city, at this school, by naming the school after such and such a person? And so I wanted to, before having a brief moment with you, to share a couple of scriptures that came to mind. Exodus 13:3, Moses speaking. And, Moses and the Israelites went through a lot of stuff together, through Egypt and through the desert and obedience and disobedience. And in Exodus 13:3, then Moses said to the people, commemorate this day, the day you came out of Egypt, out of the land of enslavement, because the Lord brought you out of Egypt with a mighty hand. Commemorate this day. And then there were a lot of activities that went on with that. One of which was crossing the Red Sea and living, as the story goes. And then in Isaiah 49:16, Isaiah 49:16 says, even these I will forget, speaking for God. Yet I will not forget you, God says. Behold, I have engraved you on the palm of my hand. Your names are continually before me. God has promised that God will not forget us. God created us. God knows us, and God will not forget us. And so as we honor and memorialize the things that happen in our individual lives and in our collective lives as a community, and in our lives as a city, as a state, as a nation, as a globe, I encourage us to remember what God has done for us. And I encourage us to remember, many times Dr. Carlin reminds us, holding these honors and remembrances and memorials in the lens of justice.
So this, as we were talking, this thing about Memorial Day, we kept thinking about this word again. What does it mean to memorialize? And when I went and looked at it and looked at the word, to be made to remember, or to be encouraged to remember. And so, as we go along, we also want to again encourage you to begin to think about who individually may be remembering today yourself, who may be individuals in your family, or individuals who you've read about, learned about at some point, who have made the sacrifice, have given their lives in service to justice, in service to the things that they deeply believe in. And if you're remembering them today, you'll have an opportunity in a little while to be able to talk about that and spend some time reflecting very specifically on that, as well as these larger understandings of what that means in the big systems way as well. So I went and actually, again, did some reading on Memorial Day, and I was saying to Reverend Kathy, it's like, I don't know about you, but I was here in the United States. I got taught about Memorial Day because Memorial Day is a national holiday in the United States, and was from when I was a child, certainly, and I'm pretty old. And so I was taught about Memorial Day, and going and looking at this, I was reminded about some things and learned some new things that I hadn't known, and again was taken back to again what we remember and what we memorialize has to do with who holds the narrative. And so Memorial Day is connected to the Civil War in the United States. And so that's how it came into existence, and why it came into existence is and was called Decoration Day. It was about honoring folks who died during the Civil War here in the U.S. and it came into existence during the following that 1860s time. And the first national celebration officially happened, May 30, 1868. What's interesting is there's lots of controversy, or fair amount, about when it actually began, because it was commemorated locally in a number of places in the country, and those places were controversial because of who was acknowledged as having been first and who was acknowledged as having done the first Memorial Day celebration. And that, as is true in many cases, was about what bodies those individuals were in. It was about, so there was a celebration or a commemoration, I should say, of Memorial Day, what is called the first Memorial Day, actually in 1865 in Charleston, South Carolina, by people who were formerly enslaved and recently freed folks who were Black folks. This parade of over 10,000 people honoring Union war dead. And this parade went on and on, 2,800 children in it, and some white abolitionists and journalists, and went and had reburied some folks who had not been buried appropriately, and were honoring these folks who had been reburied, that they had reinterred. And so this comes up as the first Memorial Day. And this is an example of a piece of history that in all the years I've heard and read about Memorial Day, I had no idea about. And it's an example, again, of who do we commemorate, what do we know about, and who gets erased, and who do we want to remember? Who are the people who are important in our own lives and have carrying important messages, again, toward justice and care of others. So that is one of the things that I found out, and there are other places in the country where there were similar experiences that have happened that have just bubbled up at times in history. The other thing that felt important as I looked at this is hearing the stories, and recently in a number of places is again us as LGBTQIA folks, and what it has meant to serve in the military, and don't ask, don't tell, and all the things that have been true, and what it has meant for folks to die, and what it has meant to be memorialized or not to be memorialized because of the bodies we're in and who we love, and the whole history around that, as well as we remember each other, and as we remember and memorialize. So those were things that came up in this time. Folks have thoughts before, and again, we're going to go into doing some personal sharing about who we're remembering in a moment. Anything that you don't know about Memorial Day that you recently have learned or learned over time, or Memorial Day in other places that are not the United States, because it was the other thing that I became very interested in as well. is very specific in the United States in a particular way. It's just one area of the world. Others? Hmm.
I mean, yeah, Memorial Day is a special day for me because this was the day actually thought uh, I, I was one of those kids in those days that God took my father. I said, God took my father and my mother, so why should I deal with it? And I lived with this for so long. Then one day, and it happened to be a Memorial Day, sat and I was crying. I said, okay, maybe it's meant to be. That was the first day that I accepted everything that I blamed on God. And I thought, okay, whatever it is, maybe if I go to church, someone will open my eyes and let me know what is going on. And I started coming. And then I'm an only child, and then I'm gay. And this was just not acceptable, my community. But as I grew older, came to accept my, and so many things fell on Memorial Day. Memorial Day was the day my mom, and things happen on that. Start bringing on memory. I decided, okay, let me try it again. I left the church for more than 20 years. Then I decided, okay, let me try it again. Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's excellent.
Oh, thank you. Well, so today is
Yeah.
Powerful day.
Yeah, yes. Oh, thank you. So glad you're here. Anybody else
Yes,
here?
today when we talk about morality, I realize it encompasses far more than rough thinking. Because when I was younger, I just thought of those military people who had been killed in battle being the only ones that were memorialized. But as you were saying a few minutes ago, it encompassed a lot more people, whether they died in battle or they participated in a struggle. So it represents far more than I originally realized.
Hey, so want to give you an opportunity, continuing where we are, to think about who is on your mind, maybe in this moment. Um, right from springboard, right from where we are. As you're remembering somebody today, is there somebody who is on your mind, and we're going to give you an opportunity to write their name down and have some prayer for them and for you. And Daryl, I know you had something to share with us as well, and I don't want to miss the opportunity to do that.
Okay.
As we, right before we go into this, because I don't want to miss that opportunity.
Yes. Well, I was raised by my grandparents. My grandfather was born in 1890, but served in World War One. He was pretty old when he went in. But he went into service in 1918. So he was 38 years old, and he served in World War One. But most importantly, when I lived with him, he gave me his Army discharge from 1919, and I have brought it with me today. And interesting thing about it, the whole thing is not typed, part of it, is typed and set. The rest of it is handwritten. And it's not as easy to read as it was originally because some of the ink is beginning to fade just a little bit. But anyhow, I wanted to bring this and to share it with you today, and I'm sure at the end of the meeting and all, you can look at it more closely. But I feel like he's here with us in spirit today.
Amen. And take this for a moment.
Oh, yes, you can.
Get a little closer, so
Um,
reflections here, maybe you can see online the certificate and how much of it is handwritten, like they're always saying. Beautiful.
Well,
Thank you so
thank
much.
you.
Oh, you can see the front and the back. Thank you for sharing that with us. Bit of history.
There's a question in the chat, what is his name?
Actually, William Fields Cook Johnson, and everybody called him FC. But he served in France and culture. War was very difficult there because that was French warfare. So you didn't just sort of go to the trenches and fight. You actually lived in the trenches,
Right.
which was not easy at all.
Thank you so much, Karen. And so we have cards, and these 3x5 cards, again, we invite you, whoever you were thinking about today, if you'd like to, and again, it's an invitation to write the name of who you're remembering today on a card, and we have a basket. You can put that name in the basket. We're gonna have a prayer for them and for you. And we also then are going to pass these along to the prayer team as well, so that they're continue to be held in prayer. So please feel free to take a card, and then we will collect cards. And I'm going to be quiet and give you a chance to think. For people who are online, please do put the name in the chat, and then the name will be put in a card and added to the basket as well.
Or say the name and we can write it down.
Right.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you for
Time, everyone. Thank you.
So we are gathered here at the altar, Memorial Chapel. This is a special, special place. It's one of the places of memory at MCCDC here on site. We have this beautiful columbarium here that we can see from the altar. It overlooks our sanctuary. Reminds us of the great cloud. Also here on the altar, we have placed beautiful, beautiful remembrance. One thing I noticed is Reverend Kathy was showing this up close. It picked up the reflections of those of you in this space. And you were actually a part of this. And it reminded me very deeply that we reflect those who have gone before us. They are still with us. It showed that so powerfully and so beautifully. I noticed a rainbow of colors that was also reflected. It's a deep reminder that not only does the great cloud of witnesses, those who have gone before us, the saints, only do they cheer us on, as it says in Hebrews. They are a part of us, and we are a part of them. We are a part of that thought, and how beautiful that is. We want to share the names that have been placed today on the cards that will later be offered to our prayer care ministers to continue to lift these names in love and support. So we pray today for the soul of Richard Putner, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, for the soul of Two-Gun Thomas Moore, U.S. Navy. This is from Elodie. Thank you, Elodie. We hold this in love and memory. From Dr. Carla, prayers Uncle D. We hold Uncle D in love and memory in the great cloud. William Johnson, Theodore Walker, Manuel Crawford, Terry Rocks, Darrell Walker. Lift these in memory. Katie Pagnane, I believe that's the mother of Knut.
Grandmother.
Grandmother. Okay, did I pronounce the name close?
Yes.
Yes. We hold in love and memory. Mabel Baum Foley, we hold in love. And then from Reverend Kathy, grandparents Liston and Catherine Burns, Catherine Willie, and from Mercy Smith, she writes my mother. That's who I would like to remember. Mercy. Thank you for sharing it, Mercy. Today I remember John Lewis Raymer, June 6th, very close to the middle of the 19th. We have some that have come from the Jack Lewis, Crystal Dusty, Randolph Walker from Jackie Lewis. And we will pray for these names. I have a few more cards here. If you wish to call out some of the names, we can add, we'll speak them into the space in your own voice. We welcome that. And if more names come through the chat box, if you just call those out. Let's continue to call forth names of the saints that we remember, that we reflect in our lives. As a reflection, it's guidance. I'm actually going to move over to the caller area. I'm not sure if the owl will pick me up there. I think it will. I want to call some of these names as well. So we're moving over to the columbarium. This beautiful space. It's going to take the owl just a moment, I think. Yep, there it is. And so remember some of the names here, including pastor who is a mentor to many of us, who led us to this location, Larry Urick, loved pastor of MCCDC from 1977 to 1993. He lived from 4/8/45 to 12/28/93. And his last message, his last sermon at MCCDC was actually just 3 days before he passed. And his last words to the congregation were the words of Jesus. His last words he spoke publicly. He quoted Jesus saying, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you." So we remember his last public words. And those who support us, and those who are with us, we are so grateful. Amen. Amen.
And so, as we close and continue holding those with us and holding each other, having had this experience together in community, and close with this text. By Kathleen McTeague. They are still with us. In the struggles we choose for ourselves, in the ways we move forward in our lives and bring our world forward with us. It is right to remember the names of those who gave us strength in this choice of living. It is right to name the power of hard lives. We share a history with those lives. We belong to the same motion. They too were strengthened by what had gone before. They too were drawn on by the vision of what might come to be. Those who have lived before us, who have struggled for justice and suffered injustice before us, have not melted into dust and have not disappeared. They are with us still. The lives they lived hold us steady. Their words remind us and call us back to ourselves. Their courage and love evoke our own. We, the living, carry them with us. We are their voices, their hands, and their hearts. We take them with us, and with them choose the deeper path of living. Amen. Ashe. Thank you for your presence. Thank you for joining us. Take good care. Bye.